Welcome. Really, there's only one question to be said. Is the Chicago street race going to work? We'll talk about it next on Stuck in the Catch Fence. I got stuck. I was trying to put on my White Sox shirt and I got stuck. Joe got stuck. He's waiting for a tornado. Look.
Yeah.
I was trying to put it on and the cord. The hell with it. That was a free shirt from a White Sox game last year. I'm trying to get all festive for the Chicago street race. And Joe, I think that whatever we're going to see on Sunday is probably going to be worse than me trying to get that shirt on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It'll probably be worse than the Savannah Bananas game you didn't get to go to.
Wow. Okay. So we're going straight for the heart. That's great. So, yeah, welcome in. I do have a quick question for you, Joe. You were having difficulties during the live stream as you attempted and your computer said, "Thou shalt not pass."
Thou shalt.
So I'm going to ask you, what did you think of NBC's coverage of the race at Nashville and your overall experience with the Nashville race?
Well, I think a tad bit better, obviously, than Fox. I do approve of NBC a little bit more, but I mean, still, American auto racing, whether it be IndyCar or NASCAR, there should never be a commercial during green flag laps ever. I mean, and at the very minimum, you should be side by side with the commercial during green flag laps. Every time a NASCAR race or even an IndyCar race is cut to commercial in the middle of green flag laps, I lose a remote, and the remotes are building up and getting expensive at this point. Yeah. Those Roku remotes are terribly expensive when you buy them separately, and I'm tired of breaking them because I throw them right off my wall. And not to mention, every month or so during race season, I have to have a drywall guy come in, mud my drywall, and then repaint it. So, I mean, just show the damn race.
Yeah, and not to mention the one Roku remote that you lost, and now every time you fart, the volume goes up.
Yeah, I have no idea where that thing is.
Yeah, none of us can figure it out. We think it's deep in a couch cushion or some other orifice.
Yeah, it may be. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get to listen to the broadcast much as I was kind of bringing a broadcast with me. But from what I did hear, it was fun. Jeff Burton and Dale Jr. on pit road was an interesting idea that was not well thought out because it was obviously loud as shit when the cars were driving by.
Right. Well, they had that same problem last year, if you remember. But in a couple of races, they put the guys down on pit road and then they try to talk and it's like, I can't hear you. But that's okay. And to be fair, I didn't watch the broadcast much either because I was watching you.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So bringing you play by play because usually my feed is about 30 seconds in front of yours.
Right. I will say that I don't know if we'll plan on streaming this week because we have so much. It's going to be like this. Either our post-race recap is going to be epic.
Yeah.
Or the live stream itself. We just don't even have any information to go off of.
Well,
so, it makes it kind of difficult.
Yeah, and live streaming's fun. I mean, I have fun with it when I'm able to do it, and I know that you have incredible fun with it. But to be honest, it's kind of hard to keep up talking and watching the race, and we both like to watch the race. So, right. And I don't know. I think I'm going to give this a fair chance. I watched your show the other day, which I would have loved to do done with you, but I didn't know that I'd be here today. I'm glad I'm here. So
monkeypox.
Right. I think that I think I'm going to try to give this race a fair shake. I mean, we're going to get into this, but I just don't know. I'm kind of with you.
Build up that that expectation, all your thought process, Joe, and volcano it at the end, because we will be hitting on the race preview.
Right. Yeah, we're going to wait.
I do want to tell people this. They will have to wait, as I will be doing a video where I'm going to open a NASCAR hobby box of Donruss 2023. Yeah. So more than likely, I'll pull a terrible Danica Patrick card that will be worth maybe less than this Joey Logano print, Joe, that I'll send you in the mail.
Yeah.
Let me see something different.
Let me see it.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Guaranteed 1 auto and 2 memorabilia cards.
Huh. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so we'll open that up on the channel, see what we get out of that. Just a little something different for some card enthusiasts. As you know, cards have skyrocketed, but NASCAR cards actually aren't too bad as long as Panini doesn't put out Chinese trash, which at times they do. But what can you do? So without any further ado, Joe, hold your ears and let's get into the news.
Yeah.
All right. 5 lug nuts. Never forget. Life was better with 5 lug nuts.
It was.
So the first piece of news, and we'll go ahead and just give our condolences to Jimmy Johnson and his family. Obviously, a tragedy happened with his in-laws and also their young nephew / I believe it's his in-laws' grandson. Our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family right now. There's not much more we can add to that. He will not be racing this weekend for obvious reasons, but just a terrible, terrible situation. And, you know, we're sending our energy to Jimmy and his wife. Now moving on to Eric Jones. He had a penalty because of the greenhouse that was altered at WWT. And if you're wondering how well did that help him, well, he was never above 25th place. They did try to they put that in for, what is the right word that I was looking for? Completely lost it. Appeal. Yeah. There you go. An appeal. You go. They tried to peel it like a banana, and unfortunately they lost it.
Yeah, we're going to try to get out of this thing.
Yeah.
That's what that's called.
And unless you're Hendrick Motorsports, you lose appeals.
Right, yeah. No chance.
Sheldon Creed. Yes, the man with glasses that Joe said if he ever saw on the street, he would never guess as an actual paid race car driver. Part of RCR Racing has been docked 25 points and 25 grand for intentionally wrecking Sammy Smith. NASCAR said they used the information from the communications that they then came to the conclusion that this was intentional.
Yeah. And to be fair, you wouldn't think Sheldon Creed was employed anywhere if you saw him on the street, but that's nonetheless.
Yeah. Take that for Sheldon Creed fans.
Yeah. I like Sheldon Creed.
He's not bad. He probably should have won at Portland, but he's not bad. So I guess with the Xfinity, you can wreck people and get fined, but in Cup, you can't intentionally wreck people. You get a 1 week suspension.
Right. Yeah. Well, they haven't learned yet.
Yeah. And then one other piece of news, Joe, is that there will be no Cup Series drivers in the Xfinity race tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Bullshit.
The NASCAR stated that they did not want anyone to have a competitive advantage by being able to run in the Xfinity race because there's been no testing. And obviously it's hard to test when you have to close down a major roads. And I want you to know also, Joe, the manhole covers on the street have been welded so that they don't come off during the track.
Seriously?
So, yes, they did have to weld the manhole covers.
Oh, I thought maybe that was so that the gangs there didn't make shape charges out of the manhole covers by putting like C4 underneath them and just blowing holes straight through the cars.
Yes, and I have unfortunate news too. It seems like there have been 4 abnormally large Ninja Turtles and a rat found dead due to lack of oxygen in the sewers as well.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So, Yeah.
I didn't realize they moved out of New York.
They did. One shithole to another. So
I wonder.
Just bad realtor.
Yeah, April O'Neil's probably covering that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough out there.
This is terrible.
It's all we got. It's a slow news week. I'm sorry. So,
hey, you know what you could tell me?
What's that?
How could I win a free diecast car?
I'll tell you, Joe. All you have to do, and I know you're already that type of person. Yeah. You're subscribed.
I am.
You've already commented. You've done it multiple times. You comment during the show, and I have to erase it so nobody can see it.
Right.
I'm like, hey, nobody needs to know you did that through your burner account. You and Kevin Durant kind of go on there and just absolutely just beat the living hell socially out of people, their self-esteem. And,
yeah, I do.
Yeah, and we've had people before, they jump in the chat and they're like, hey, you guys are retarded. And we're like, no, you're not listening.
With a hard R.
Yeah. So, no, but honestly, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, comment during our chat, like it, and yeah, you have a free chance for when we get to 500 subscribers, which we are on our way. We are 85 away.
There. We're not even halfway through a NASCAR season, and we're almost there.
We are almost there. So thank you, Joe, for asking. Now,
I was just wondering.
Yeah, now you'll have to send me your credit card.
Okay.
We'll get that taken care of.
I think you have it.
I don't have to answer that. So the big question when it comes to this week's show, hey, do your job. Do your job, scrolling ticker.
Yeah.
What would it take for you to view the Chicago Street Race as a success? Joe, I know you've watched my video that I did. You've been, ever since you've had this opportunity, this moment in time, you've been waiting for this. You've been waiting for July 4th weekend, the most deadly weekend in America, in this major city.
In Chicago, right?
The place where Road America died after selling out.
Right.
2 years in a row.
Right.
To view this spectacle that is a 2,000-pound car on a street course. What do you have to say?
Well, I think if we could get through the weekend without one Xfinity or one full-time Cup driver having an unnatural hole put in their body from a tool that is often used by the gangs of Chicago, I would count that as a success. I think, and obviously I'm kidding. Here's
kind of kidding.
Tongue
in cheek.
Yeah. To be serious, I think if we could see a competitive race, and we've seen this style racing before, and this style of racing is huge in Europe. I get it. It's huge on the F1 circuit, but what we're going to see this weekend, and I don't take anything that Denny Hamlin ever says very seriously, but he says this race is going to suck, and I believe him. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a NASCAR driver cross the start finish line in this race with about a 14 or 15 second lead. And
really?
Then I just think that's what I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to be worse than IndyCar road course racing, even though some of that's been good early on, but the Indianapolis road course was absolutely horrible. And maybe I'm stretching that a little bit, but I don't think this is going to be competitive at all. If you look at the course, there's only two sections which you can really pass, and they're not set up well for passing. So, we're going to see basically an F1 style race with no passing, and it's going to be follow the leader in a city that nobody wants to go to. So, NASCAR has their work cut out for them. The only advantage NASCAR has is the tickets to the Chicago road course race for certain sections are slightly cheaper than going to an F1 race. And I think maybe it is a new thing, and I think maybe they will have attendance, hopefully more than Nashville last weekend, because I don't know if you guys are aware, and maybe it was kind of hidden from the public, but Nashville attendance last week was horrible. I don't even think they sold half the track. So
they sold out.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Well, they might say they sold out on paper, but they didn't
sold
sell
out. It was packed.
It was not packed.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't.
You're crazy. It absolutely was packed.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
You're getting that fake news. You're getting that fake news, Ryan.
No, I'm not. You must be talking about the Xfinity race. The actual Cup Series race was packed.
Oh, now I'm behind you again. Hold on. Okay, I'm fixed. Anyway, nonetheless, I saw some shots from some aerial view shots of the race, of the NASCAR race, and it did not look sold out to me. So maybe I'm getting my information a little bit different place than you, but I'm sure on paper they were sold out. It looked like a good crowd, especially at the end of the race. But as far as the Chicago street race, I'm not optimistic about the optics of this race at all. I think it's going to be a huge failure. I think it's going to be a boring race, and I really don't think there's any coming back to the style racing after we see it. But we've seen NASCAR in the past, and we know that sometimes they try to hammer home what the fans don't want. So we'll see what happens after this weekend.
Okay. So I'm going to share screen with you.
Yeah, you can show me the middle of the track. I know it looks packed.
This is it's sold out. There's like 50,000 seats. There's not even a lot to sell out.
Okay. Well, maybe I got some misinformation. You're probably right.
Let's go. Now, the Xfinity race, which there is a group of people in this area trying to prevent the taxpayers from paying for Nashville's
I read that.
Nashville Fairgrounds. Now they don't want it to be packed.
Maybe I was looking at some propaganda put out by them. Maybe I was looking at some fake news.
Yeah. Now they did put out a picture and said this is the type of style of this is what you get when the taxpayer has to pay for the upcoming Nashville Fairgrounds, and they used the Xfinity crowd. They did not use the Cup Series crowd, which they quickly were shut down in the comments by that. But no, it was a hot ticket, man. There's not a lot of seats there.
Okay. Well, maybe I received some fake news. Maybe I received one of those things in my Twitter feed, and I just believed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. That, and I've almost been dead the last 2 days. So
that's true. Yeah. That's true. I actually had to resuscitate you.
I'm actually sweating right now. But
yeah. I do want to show you this, Joe. And this is one of the reasons why we don't think this course is going to work. It's not just the fact that it's a street course. Okay. First off, I don't know. Nashville seems like a great place for a street course when it comes to like people loving the actual product. Right. Detroit is not one of those. St. Petersburg actually looks really nice in IndyCar, but why they chose Detroit and Chicago is beyond me. But here's one of the reasons why. And it's the track. Can you see that, Joe?
Yeah, I can see it. I want to take down your let's go ahead and take down our captions here.
Okay. You got that. I can't see anything because it's all over my screen. So you start right here in this paddock area. And again, just to add information, the paddock, the president's paddock, is where the spotters are going to stand. And they've mentioned they can't see the whole track. Mm-hmm. That's not good.
No.
They can't see the whole track. So you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 90-degree turns.
That's going to be horrible.
And that is why we don't feel like this race is going to work. There is a possibility that a street race could be exciting if you look at like Baku, which has long straightaways in the Formula One series. other type of racing, like it's kind of generic to the Las Vegas race, but it's more set up as a square, if you would. But when you look at this, there you mentioned, Joe, there's no corners to try to pass on because they're 90-degree corners. And you add to the fact that you're taking ginormous cars and they're barely able to get side by side. Kyle Busch said that he thinks it's going to be like the first turn at Indy road course. And he said it's just going to be calamity after that. And I agree with him. I think that as soon as they enter the first turn, he said we may lose 15 cars on the first turn. And I don't believe he's wrong. I think that literally could be a possibility. You're talking a place that's had no practice before, no tire testing run. Why? Because you can't just randomly shut down Chicago so that NASCAR can get its little piece in.
I just don't. I just don't I mean, the more we talk about it, I just don't understand it. We have countless quality tracks across this country not being used. We have great road courses not being used. Tracks that are literally designed to put these 2,000-pound cars on a road course style track to race on. And we're trying to turn the streets of Chicago into a NASCAR track. It doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't understand it.
And to add on top of it, Joe, there is a chance of rain.
Oh, that'll be fun.
These cars have they have tires to use in the rain. They will have the windshield, the blinking light, and also the rain flaps, which I'm not even sure what that is.
Me
I thought a rain flap and a mud flap. I've always heard it as a mud flap. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments. But that's the negative. So let's look. You said you're going to try to be excited for this. Joe, what's it going to take for this to be successful?
Yeah, like I said, I think if we see a competitive race, I think if we see a very technical track that leads to good racing, and we have an exciting stage finish, well, it's a road. We're not even going to have stages. Scrap what I said. I mean, I think if we have exciting racing and we have passing, but passing is conducive with NASCAR. That's what makes the racing exciting. That's what makes F1 not an exciting race to watch. That's what makes most of the IndyCar road courses not exciting to watch. It's just the difficulty in passing. And you take that element, that spectacle out of a NASCAR race might as well be F1 or IndyCar or anything else that races on a road course. And, but if that is not the case and we see these other factors of this being such a technical track that drivers are able to pass coming out of 90-degree turns and short straightaways, then, maybe it will be a successful race. And I think that's what it's going to take.
I think there's two ways that this could be a success. And I separate success from an on-track product. I truly believe on track, when it comes to actual racing, this will not be a success. So how else could it be a success? People are talking about it. I think that's one way it could be a success. And for it to be a success that way, Joe, it has to be an absolute shit show. People are wrecking nonstop. And everybody cannot wait to get on YouTube to talk about, oh my God, how terrible was that? Now, that will get conversation going. But there will be traffic flooded on social media talking about how terrible this was. And like you've said before, even bad news still makes money.
I mean, and really, I mean, that is, if this track is so hard to navigate in these cars and it becomes a wreck fest and only 12 cars finish it, I mean, that's exciting. It's like, who's going to wreck next? And, I think at the end of the day, as far as a quality race, that's obviously not a quality race, but fans will love that. I mean, you'll love watching that for a race. I don't think, when you sit back and think about it, that you'll think you'll want to see that every year. I know I wouldn't, but
no.
If this is a race where they get this course is so hard to maneuver with these cars, and we watch 12 cars finish on the lead lap and 3 cars are limping around the track and the rest of the cars are sitting on pit row or in the garage, I think we'll all sit here and say, wow, that was crazy. But yeah, it'll be a success then. I mean, theoretically, but still not a good race.
Right. For a NASCAR purist, it will be awful. It'll be, I'll never watch a NASCAR again. This is
My
the
God.
stupidest stuff ever. And that might be us. That literally could be us. But Joe, I think somewhere in the middle, that there's not enough wrecks and it's boring, like North Wilkesboro, would be catastrophic. Where we're both sitting here going, because nobody's passing. The leader, like you said, is 14 seconds ahead. Nobody's wrecked because everybody's tiptoeing around the track. And it just 15 cars finish under the lead lap. That would, to me, would be the worst possible thing, because the people that you're trying to gather will never go back. They'll never go back. And if your first race is the street race, probably going to be tough to go back anyway, because that's not the type of race you want to then think of this as your product. Okay. I do know people, like I mentioned on my video the other day, that are going to watch this that don't typically watch NASCAR. They're going to have new eyeballs on the sport. If there is like some crazy stuff going on, they might tune in the next week. Holy cow, did you see that guy turn sideways and 5 other people hit him? I mean, you talked about St. Pete. Shit, there's cars driving on top of each other
multiple times.
Yeah, in the calamity added to the excitement. Like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do another street race if they're going to do this. If it's not that, and it's just boring, 3-second lead, next guy's 4 seconds out, which what we see in Formula One, that is the worst case scenario. And on top of it, Joe, somebody like Chase Briscoe wins, and then nobody's going to talk about it.
Yeah,
I mean, literally, it was a boring race and a boring guy won. You know.
Well,
so,
and I will tell you, I don't think that will be the case in this race. I think, as a betting person, I'm going to tell you the approach to that is you're going to almost have to take the same approach, in my opinion, as an F1 race. Now, there's different variables in this race. Obviously F1, you don't have to worry about refueling. You don't necessarily. I mean, tires are really the only thing, and the aero on the car that they can adjust in race anyway. The pit stops play more of a role in a NASCAR race than what you'll see in an F1 race. But it's going to be a lot of the same strategy you see as in an F1 race, is the when to come in, what tires you're going to put on, especially if it's raining.
That would be the best thing, I think, honest to God.
So, because then you'll see a little bit of strategy come in. But I think at the end of the day, really the qualifying for this race is going to be the telltale sign of who's going to finish well, because I think, if you're starting in the top 5 or top 8, I'll even get it, you may have a chance to maneuver in this race. I think if you're starting outside the top 10 in any way, your chance to win this race are almost none. You see it in F1, a car starts 10th on the grid and they may be able to advance one position. And I think that's what we'll see. And I mean, you're talking about 20 cars in F1. We're talking about 37 here, I think, is entered in this race.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're starting 35th, you're going to finish 35th. So unless, somebody wrecks out and we just see calamity all over the racetrack all weekend.
Yeah. And there literally is a possibility that a car turns sideways and blocks the entire track, which we've never seen that.
Well,
before.
There's only, like I said, there's only two spots on this track where maybe you could fit cars 3 wide on this track. The majority of this track, you can't even get 2 wide. So I don't know how you pass on a track where you can't physically fit 2 cars on the straightaway. So,
right. And you're talking too, Joe, like road courses. You can get stuck in a gravel pit. You can move off. You can pass these different ways. You're talking concrete barricades on both sides. There is no give. There's no nothing. Actually, 2 of the straightaways share a wall.
Right.
Which is nuts. I mean, we've never seen that before. So maybe Ryan Blaney will have something to say. Hopefully he doesn't hit one of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and like I said, the spots on the track from in my opinion are not great spots that you're going to come out of a 90-degree turn and be able to gain the momentum to pass anyway. So it's one of them deals where what you're going to see coming out of these straightaways into these 90-degree turns. It's going to look like cars are fast approaching. Looks like you're going to pass, and then they're almost going to come to a complete stop to make those 90-degree turns. And while the lead car is coming out of the turn and getting back up to 80 miles an hour before it has to make another turn, the car that you saw fast approaching, that car that you thought you may see a pass, is just now going to be coming out of the turn. I mean, that's what we're going to see all day long. I have a huge fear that this is probably going to be worse in North Wilkesboro. This is probably going to be the most boring NASCAR race in the history of NASCAR, unless they just wreck everywhere, which I don't really think, other than brake failure with the 90-degree turns. I don't really think that these cars can get up to speed to have a lot of calamity anyway. So we'll see what happens.
AJ Allmendinger said he was expecting 145 mile an hour as the fastest speed.
Okay. And they do have the one actually by the start finish line. That's a decent length straightaway, and that's probably where he expects that at.
Right. But you mentioned something I was going to say to you. If I'm the drivers and I hear one guy loses a brake rotor like what happened at WWT, I am freaking the F out, because you're talking 90 degrees off of those straightaways, and I don't care if it's going 120. You don't have any damn brakes. Talking a bad day. So hopefully, I mean, because this will probably put the most stress we've ever seen on this next gen car. And the two times that we've seen tracks put stress on the front of these brakes are Bristol, which we saw multiple cars have brake failures in that, and WWT 2 years in a row has had brake failures in that race. It's one thing to downshift, like Sonoma has hills. Well, you can downshift and then carry that momentum. You cannot downshift and put less pressure on a car when you're making 90-degree turns on a flat track.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't have high hopes. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic. And I am I really, because I am a NASCAR fan, I'm not rooting for the failure of this race. I mean, I hope it's a good race, and I don't want to waste 5 hours of my day on Sunday watching a boring race, because I'm going to watch it. I want to see a good race. I want to see Kyle Larson win. Hey, so, or Kyle Busch. I'll take a win out of him as well, or the Dinger. I'll take a win out of him.
I would take a win.
Yeah, I'll take a win out of the Dinger, but it is what it is, and I just don't believe that we're going to see a great race.
No, but Joe, it's now time for the race preview where we make our picks.
We are getting pretty highfalutin with these things. Yeah.
Highfalutin?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Even the vocabulary is freaking. I can't spell that. I'm not using that word. Falutin? I feel like you would hear that in band.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's never in the band.
Falutin? I actually, I don't know. I went to band camp last summer, and you know what? Let's not talk about it. So typically we use this time to break down the race, where we essentially just did that the entire time. So we're going to actually just use it to make our picks. Yeah. Most normal episodes, we're not heading to a track we've never been to before and have no idea what to expect. So then we would come to this part after the news and say, hey, Joe, we're headed to Richmond. Right. Let's break down Richmond and make our picks, because we've already been to Richmond for 60 years.
Kyle Larson.
Well, there you go. Boring, actually. So I wanted to go back and let everyone know, after last week's race, you did text in, and I did put in the chat. You said you wanted Larson, Logano, Truex, Blaney, and LaJoy. In the chat, I put Martin Truex Jr., Byron, Reddick, Chastain, and the Dinger. And that granted me 9 points. You had 4 points. So we currently sit at 97 and 74.
Yeah.
We got a chat?
Yeah, from Willow Spicewood.
Welcome back, Willow.
If they could pass in LA, they should be able to pass here. Saying that, I think they should not be a points paying race. Hi, guys. Yeah, Well, so I'm going to disagree with that just a little bit, Willow. LA Coliseum is, obviously a quarter-mile short track, but you can get almost four wide in the straightaways of that. And if you make a mistake breaking into the turn, it allows you to lose momentum, which enables the car behind you to pass in LA. The problem here is even if you make a mistake breaking into these 90-degree turns, there's no available room for the car behind you to pass you on most of these straightaways. You can't physically fit two cars together to pass. There's only two spots on that track. So if you make a mistake going into one of these 90-degree turns, that the straightaway following that 90-degree turns is only a car and a half wide, essentially your mistake's null and void unless you make it into one of those two spots that are going to allow for you to be passed. And 90-degree turns in these cars are so technical that they're almost going to have to come to a complete stop to turn these cars, that I don't see many drivers mismanaging that turn. Most of the time when you see a driver mismanage a turn at this level, it's a turn that they think that they could push it to the limit on, and then they end up losing it. We saw that a couple of weeks ago with Kyle Larson on the road course in the Xfinity race. That's normally when drivers at this level will lose their tires and spin out. 90-degree turns, you don't see a lot of spin out in any level of road coursing or road course racing. So I disagree with that a little bit, but that's just my take on it. You could be absolutely right. I mean, I could be watching this race on Sunday and go, there's this. It could just blow me away with the amount of passing. I don't think that'll happen, but like I said, that's my opinion of it. But great comment, Willow.
I think another thing too is, even if you don't recognize it, the actual Coliseum race, it even has banking. I mean, as small as it still is banked. So there's an opportunity for your car, like you said, Joe, to miss the turn and wash up the track. There's nowhere to wash up to. More often than not, like, okay, we're going to watch Austria in the Formula One race this week. Well, there's two 90-degree turns to start that entire race off. There's a chance that they miss the braking and have to go wide. There is no going wide. There's a wall. It's 90-degree turn, wall.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't even know if you're having the opportunity to pass, because at an oval, you can use the chrome horn or the bumper to move somebody up the track. You move somebody up the track at his place, they're into the wall. And then you have a traffic jam, just like normal street traffic looks like at Chicago. That to me is the biggest difference. And again, if it allowed it to be open like an actual road course race, our feelings would be much different. But they're literally racing in a slot car style, like you setting two of your Hot Wheels and going, this is all you got is this straightaway, whatever the track allows on your Hot Wheels. That's almost kind of like what they're having to do. Even at an oval, even though it's small, like you mentioned, quarter of a mile, fifth of a mile, that is the Coliseum, there's still, like you mentioned, lanes to be had to move, and they're just simply not there. So the only place you're going to mainly pass is probably coming out of the turn. If somebody misses a shift, if somebody warms up their brakes too hard and doesn't come out of it. Otherwise, I honestly think we're going to see a situation. I mean, okay, let's take it for this example. The Roval. One of the most funny things we've ever seen was Kevin Harvick was pissed off at Chase Elliott, hits him, and then Kevin Harvick at the first turn of the Roval, there's a 90-degree turn to the left. He misses it and goes 14 feet into the barricade. That's not possible here.
No.
That's now a 15-car wreck because everybody else just stacked up behind him. If those were there, we might be able to have that conversation, but they're not. They're just simply not there. They're concrete barricades everywhere. They're rats in a maze.
It's going to look like what's the F1 race? Bahrain. That's basically it's basically a one-car track all the way around, except coming out of the tunnel. Is that right. So?
Monaco comes out of the tunnel.
Well, it's going to be like Monaco. Monaco is, but Monaco is basically you can fit one car except in one spot on that entire racetrack, and there's no available room to pass. the only place you could pass at Monaco is on pitch strategy. And that's why the person that wins the pole at Monaco in the F1 race is like minus 750 to win the race. So
you mean the place that you said that they haven't had a pass for the lead under green flag conditions in 20 years?
Yeah, that place, yes.
And even at Monaco, there's places for the cars to run off the road. And they will not have that here because Monaco has up and down trajectory, and they don't have that here. But let's get into our picks. Joe, I have no idea where you're going. Do you have any idea where you're going?
So I'm going to go, and obviously there's no research to be had. And if you don't know, we do research on our picks, and normally I don't do this bad. I've had kind of an off year this year, but I'm going to have to go with tried and true, drivers that have established themselves on road courses. So obviously I'm going to go with 2 Hendrick drivers, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. I'm also going to go with Kyle Busch. You have to, anytime you're talking about a road course, you got to go with the dinger. You just have to. And then my guy outside the top 20, where's Chase Briscoe sitting right now?
Oh, he's way outside the top.
Yeah, I'll take him. Chase Briscoe normally has had success at road courses. We'll see where he qualifies. And all this is contingent on qualifying. I mean, Kyle Larson clips a wall in qualifying. He's got no chance. Any of these guys. I mean, I should probably throw Joey Logano in there, but simply I don't have enough drivers. But I think that those are the tried and true guys that we'll probably see. But like I said, if they don't qualify well, they don't have a chance to win this race.
By the way, Willow Spicewood, you last commented on, I believe, WWT, and you beat both of us.
Yeah, so you may be right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, throw us your picks again in the comments.
I'm going to go with a guy that I think's been running really good at road courses, and that's Martin Truex Jr. I'm kind of surprised you didn't pick him. You've been kind of on a roll with Martin Truex, and he's been possibly the hottest driver in the sport right now. I'm going to go Larson as well, just because he always has speed. God, and then I get real iffy on like who to go with after this. I'm just going to go ahead and say my outside the top 20 guy is going to be McDowell.
Okay.
I don't feel good about it.
You shouldn't feel good about anybody outside the top 20.
I mean, he qualified well at Sonoma.
We're basically picking 4 drivers every week in a maybe.
It was Sonoma. I know for a fact it was Sonoma that Willow put in because he chose McDowell and Chris Buescher, and that's when I made the comment. I was like, "Oh yeah, the guys that finished in the top 5 last time they were there." So Martin Truex Jr., Larson, McDowell. I'm going to go Kyle effing Busch because I need him to root for him. And my last one. You know what? Hell with it. Joe needs some points. I'm going Jenson Button, baby.
Hey, that may be a great pick. Look pretty good at the 24-hour.
He did. So Willow said that he watched this on iRacing. There is passing. And to be fair, this course was actually made on iRacing first. Well, we'll have to take your research and see if that actually holds true.
Willow, I hope you're right. I mean, I hope my assessment of this is wrong. I mean, I really do. I'm not hoping for this race to fail. I want to see a great race. I am not a iRacing fanatic. I do get on YouTube. There's a couple guys I follow that do the iRacing, and I do enjoy watching it. But I also know there's some things that you will do on iRacing that when you're actually in a real car on a real racetrack that you will do on iRacing that you won't do on a real racetrack unless you're Ross Chastain. So,
that's true.
So we'll see. And I really do hope you're right.
Yeah. I mean, I made a video saying that I hope that this does fail, and I will stay to that. I do hope that this fails. I hope that it absolutely is terrible because I don't want another track to lose a race, because that's what's going to end up happening is they'll make 2 of these. One will probably be in Charlotte. I'm just going to guess that they're going to do one in Charlotte. They have to do one in North Carolina before too long. And God knows where they'll do the next one, probably LA. They'll probably try to do downtown LA or something like that. And I don't want to see that.
You know
happen.
what I think they should do? I think they should come to our neighborhood and they should start at 56 in East Enterprise, come down 56, turn right onto River Road, or turn right on the 56 in the town of Vevey, race out to 129, go up 129 to 250, and that should be the track.
So you pretty much just named everything we did as
yes.
Kids. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Because
that's possible.
Those are the only roads we have.
And you can throw in the horseshoe nail that you may not expect and have to get new tires.
Well, like every semi does every time they go up it.
I think they should take Detour Road just so we can see who can survive.
We will, yes, and we will right up Fishing Worm. We will have to put a memorandum out to the Amish community to let them know that their buggies cannot be on the roads that weekend.
I don't know. Might look like Mario Kart. I don't know. That might be interesting. So, well, that's going to wrap it up. We will be here after the race on Sunday. So again, no planned live stream for the race. So make sure you join us for the post-race show where Joe and I will either be elated because we actually are surprised something good happened in this race, or it'll be a lot of I told you so, or we will be dying and busting our gut as how horrific whatever the hell we just saw.
I'm hoping I'm sitting here going, Willow Spicewood was right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
And he's got a cactus behind him. I think that's a
cacti. I don't know. I just made that up.
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, that's going to be it. Thanks for tuning in. This is Stuck in the Catch, Vince. We will see you after the race on Sunday.